Hello there, and welcome to this Beyond Shakespeare First Look recording session, where today we are looking at the second part of The Elder Brother. There's already one session up on YouTube, so if you're coming to this fresh, you just need to go and watch that one first. We're enjoying it a lot, I think. The first session we enjoyed. It's by John Fletcher and Philip Massinger. It dates from between 1615 to 1625, we think. And it's turning out to be quite a jolly comedy so far. Whether it will continue to be is anybody's guess. But finding out with me today is this team of wonderful readers. We're a couple of people short today, so there's going to be some mayhem, switching parts around and throwing characters about between us from scene to scene. But anyway, joining me in the melee and definitely reading Charles, Notary and Lilly, today we have...
Donald from the Midlands in England.
And reading Lois, Gilbert and Miramont, today we have...
Aliki in Athens in Greece.
Reading Angelina, Ralph and Egremont, today we have...
Lois in London, England.
And hopefully Alan will be joining us soon to read Sylvia, Brisac, Cowsy and Priest. And if he doesn't, let the chaos commence. Meanwhile, I am your host, Sarah Blake, stepping in for Robert Crighton temporarily. Don't worry, he will be back shortly and order will be resumed. I'm going to be reading the stage directions. I'm also going to be reading Andrew and Eustace and maybe a few other roles as well. Who knows? Who knows? Let's find out. So we left it in the last session at the end of Act 2, Scene 3. So we're going to pick up with Act 2, Scene 4. Enter Charles.
I have forgot to eat and sleep with reading, and all my faculties turn into study. Is meat and sleep. What need I outward garments when I can clothe myself with understanding? The stars and glorious planets have no tailors, yet ever new they are and shine like courtiers. The seasons of the year find no fond parents, yet some are armed in silver ice that glisters, and some in gaudy green come in like maskers. The silkworm spines her own suits and her lodging, and has no aid nor partner in her labours. Why should we care for anything but knowledge, or look upon the world but to condemn it?
And enter Andrew. Would you have anything?
Andrew, I find there is a sty growing over the eye of the bull, which will go near to blind the constellation.
Put a gold ring in his nose, and that will cure him.
Ariadne's crown's away too. Two main stars that held it fast are slipped out.
Send it presently to Galileo, the Italian star-right. He'll set it right again with little labour.
Oh, thou art a pretty scholar.
I hope I shall be. Have I swept books so often to know nothing?
I hear thou art married.
It hath pleased your father to match me to a maid of his own choosing. I doubt her constellation's loose too, and wants nailing. And a sweet farm he has given us, a mile off, sir.
Marry thyself to understanding, Andrew. These women are errata in all authors. They're fair to see, bound up in vellum, smooth, white and clear, but their contents are monstrous. They treat of nothing but dull age and diseases. Thou hast not so much wit in thy head as there is in those shelves, Andrew.
I think I have not, sir.
No, if thou wouldst ne'er warned a woman in thy bosom. Their cataplasms made it a deadly sin. I never saw any yet but mine own mother. Or if I did regard them but as shadows that pass by of under creatures.
Shall I bring you one? I'll trust you with my own wife. I would not have your brother go beyond ye. They are the prettiest natural philosophers to play with.
No, they are optics to delude men's eyes with. Does my younger brother speak any Greek yet, Andrew?
No, but he speaks High Dutch, and that goes as daintily.
Reach me the books down I read yesterday, and make a little fire and get a manchet. Make clean those instruments of brass I showed you, and set the great sphere by. Then take the foxtail and purge the books from dust. Last take your Lilly and get your part ready.
Shall I go home, sir? My wife's name is Lilly. There my best part lies, sir.
I mean your grammar, oh, thou dunderhead. Wouldst thou ever be in thy wife's syntaxis? Let me have no noise nor nothing to disturb me. I am to find a secret, and so
Oh,
am
that's a speech prefix for Andrew.
Ah,
Oh,
yes, yes, okay.
that's a-
So
that
am
didn't
I
make
too.
sense.
Thank you for spotting that, Lois. So am I too, which, if you find, I shall make some smart for it. And that is the end of Act 2, Scene 4. Could someone just put something in the chat about that speech prefix? Thank you, Aliki, just so that Rob has a note of it. So that was a short scene. Lots of casual misogyny going on there.
Absolutely. Not bawdy
Yeah.
quibbles, I think, is the.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, but I mean, it was quite a fun little scene.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And
Thoughts?
Charles is certainly poetic. I mean, the way he
Yes.
talks, he may be talking rubbish, but he's talking it very beautifully.
Yes.
Yes, and yeah, that's a good way of summing up his character. He talks rubbish, but he talks it very beautifully.
He has a way with words, even if.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's clearly being set up for something. I mean, whenever you get any young man coming on saying, "Oh, women, I can't stand women. I don't want anything to do with women." Guess what's going to happen?
Yes. Cue the love interest.
Yeah.
Yes,
You'd think with all his
absolutely.
reading, he'd know what dramatic irony was.
Yeah, it's true. Yes, Aliki.
It's an interesting little piece of diversion as well, because the last thing we saw Andrew do was overhear the plot to disinherit Charles, right? And instead of coming in and going, "You're about to be disinherited," he
Yeah.
comes in and starts making jokes about scholarship and the stars and women, and yeah.
Of course, he does say, "I could introduce you to a woman like my own wife." Maybe work up from that.
Yeah, but that's just to set up the dirty joke about how his
Yeah.
wife is sleeping with everybody in the family, I guess.
Well, I think the point is Brisac certainly either is sleeping with or wants to sleep with her and has therefore married her off. I mean, it's a fairly disgusting arrangement.
Yeah,
But quite a common one. Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
yeah, that's certainly the
Andrew
vibe
doesn't
we're
seem to have
getting.
any worries about Charles, does he, in terms of.
No,
Yeah.
no, he's like fairly harmless.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, you're the kind of guy I'd like my wife to be around. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. And someone else will know this better than me, but was that a Lilly joke at the end? Was that Lilly the playwright that they were
No, that was Lilly the grammatician,
grammarian?
yeah, the grammarian, the guy that wrote Lily's grammar, in fact.
Oh, right, but that's not the
yeah.
same. That's not the
No,
same as Lilly.
I think he was a relation, but he isn't the
Okay.
guy that wrote the plays. Yeah.
Okay, all right. I got very excited there for a moment, and then he started talking about grammar, and I thought, oh, maybe not.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Right. Well, who have we got in this next scene? I think we're okay for this next scene. We are desperately short of readers today, but I think we're going to be all right for this next scene. So let's try it and see. And we can always stop and panic a bit if we run out of readers. So, Act 3, Scene 1, enter Lois, Angelina, Sylvia, and Notary.
This is the day, my daughter Angelina, the happy that must make you a fortune. Okay, sorry, I really struggle with that. Usually I know what I'm saying in this play. Is the day, my daughter Angelina, that happy that must make you a fortune, a large and full one. My great care has wrought it, and yours must be as great to entertain it. Young Eustace is a gentleman at all points, his behavior affable, courtly, his person excellent. I know you find that. I read it in your eyes. You like his youth. Young, handsome people should be matched together. Then follows handsome children, handsome fortunes. The most part of his father's estate, my wench, is tied in a jointure that makes up the harmony, and when you're married, he's of that soft temper, and so far will be chained to your observance that you may rule and turn him As you please. But what are the writings on our side, sir?
They are, and here I have so fettered him that if the elder brother set his hand to, not all the power of law shall e'er release him.
These notaries are notable, confident knaves, and able to do more mischief than an army. Are all your clauses sure?
Sure as proportion. They may turn rivers sooner than these writings. Why did you not put all the lands in, sir?
It was not conditioned.
If it had been found, it had been but a fault made in the writing. If not found, all the land.
These are small devils that care not who has mischief, so they make it. They live upon the mere scent of dissension. 'Tis well, 'tis well. Are you contented, girl? Or your will must be known.
A husband's welcome, and as a humble wife, I'll entertain him. No sovereignty I aim at. 'Tis the man's, sir, for she that seeks it kills her husband's honor. The gentleman I have seen, and well observed him, yet find not that graced excellence you promise. A pretty gentleman, and he may please too, and some few flashes I have heard come from him, but not to admiration, as to others. He's young, and may be good, yet he must make it, and I may help, and help to thank him also. It is your pleasure I should make him mine, and it has been still my duty to observe you.
Why then, let's go, and I shall love your modesty. To horse, and bring the coach out. Angelina, tomorrow you will look more womanly.
So I look honestly. I fear no eyes, sir.
And they exit. Right, well, okay, another short scene. We're leaping about from scene to scene, and yes, Aliki.
I think we're building up to something, to a, to where all the muddle comes to a head, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Gosh, Angelina's reply. I mean,
yes.
Yeah. He wanted me to marry him. I guess he's okay.
He's pretty enough, but
he's not quite what I was hoping for. It's like, it's have we ever had a heroine say that before? They're usually either, oh no, don't make me marry him, or oh my god, I love him so much. I don't know that we've ever had like, yeah, he's all right, I suppose, but I was hoping for better. Have we?
I'm not as keen on him as you are, but
which, when you think about it, that's probably how most of these conversations went in reality.
Well, if people were being frank, that's probably what they would say. Yeah. I guess probably he's the best of a bad lot. Sure, he'll do. And anyway, I don't want my father angry with me. And they're probably all much the same anyway.
And we were quite pleased with Lois in the first scene. We thought he was being a good father, giving her choice. But now he completely dismisses what she said. He's like, yep, all right then. If he'll do, he'll do.
Yeah. Well, I think he probably thinks this is probably what most about all she could say. I mean, he's making the best of it, and he's also wrong in saying that she'll be able to boss him around, because Eustace has already been saying that he doesn't want her to have any learning, and doesn't want any scholars in the house, and wants to keep her as dumb as possible. So, if that's what they think, they're wrong.
Yeah, absolutely.
Also, poor Angelina thinks she can change him, which is always a mistake, because
she thinks she might be able to help. I mean, she doesn't want to boss her husband around. She's made that clear too.
But she thinks she might help him improve, and since he has no intention of improving, that's doomed to fail.
Yeah.
Yes. Many words have been written on this subject. These were probably not the first, but yes, interesting to get a 17th century perspective on it, because it's pretty much exactly the same thing as we get now. Right.
That's well done. I mean, not too many words, really. I mean, it sets the situation up very nicely and quite concisely.
Yes, no, absolutely. And there is this sense of momentum building with these short scenes, isn't there? Like, like you said, Aliki, it's like It's like when the camera cuts away from scene to scene, and
Right.
we're building up to the big bang. Talking of big bangs, we are joined, thank goodness, today by Mark.
Boom!
There he
Mark
is.
to the rescue! Hurrah!
Yay.
Thank heavens, our knight in shining armor has appeared. So Mark is now going to be stepping in to play Sylvia, Brisac, Cowsy, and Priest. And the rest of us can all calm down. So let's pick it up then. We go with Act 3, Scene 2, and enter the aforementioned Brisac along with Andrew, Ralph the cook, Gilbert the butler, and Lilly.
Wait on your master, he shall have that befits him.
No inheritance, sir?
You speak like a fool, a coxcomb. He shall have annual means to buy him books and find him clothes and meat. What would he more? Trouble him with land? It's flat against his nature. I love him too and honor those gifts in him.
Shall Master Eustace have all?
All. He knows how to use it. He's a man bred in the world, t'other in the heavens. My masters, pray be wary and serviceable. And cook, see all your sauces be sharp and poignant in the palate, that they may commend you. Look to your roast and baked meats handsomely. And what new kickshaws and delicate made things? Is the music come?
Yes, sir. They're here at breakfast.
There will be a mask, too. You must see this room clean, and butler, your door open to all good fellows, but have an eye to your plate, for there be furies. My Lilly, welcome. You are for the linen. Sort it, and see it ready for the table, and see the bride bed made, and look the cords be not cut asunder by the gallants, too. There be such knacks abroad. Hark hither, Lilly. Tomorrow night at 12 o'clock I'll sup with ye. Your husband shall be safe. I'll send you meat, too, before I cannot well slip from my company.
Will ye so? Will you so, sir? I'll make one to eat it, and may chance make you stagger too.
No answer, Lilly?
One word about the linen. I'll be ready and rest your worship still.
And I'll rest with ye. Ye shall see what rest 'twill be. Are ye so nimble? A man had need have 10 pair of ears to watch you.
Wait on your master, for I know he wants ye, and keep him in his study that the noise do not molest him. I will not fail, my Lilly. Come in, sweethearts, all to their several duties.
And everyone exits apart from Andrew. Are you kissing ripe, sir? Double butt my farm and kiss her till thy heart ache. These smock vermin, how eagerly they leap at old men's kisses. They lick their lips at profit, not at pleasure. And if 'twere not for the scurvy name of cuckold, he should lie with her. I know she'll labour at length with a good lordship. If he had a wife now, but that's all one. I'll fit him. I must up to my master. He'll be mad with study. And Andrew exits, and that's the end of yet another very short, pithy scene. Yeah, so all our worst fears about Brisac and Lilly have been
Wow.
confirmed. Thoughts from the room? Anybody? No? Everyone's looking a bit depressed all of a sudden.
I mean, I don't feel like anything much has happened, really. We keep talking about these little scenes, and here's another one, and until it all happens, it happens. And I'm a bit disappointed in Andrew, who's sort of utterly derailed, apparently, from saving Charles to worrying about what's going on with his wife, which he knew all along was going on with his wife. So,
Yeah, well,
Well, but he-
Desperately upset.
he suspected it, didn't he? Did he actually know for sure? Yeah, I guess. Well, he certainly knows now. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean, I feel, yes, we kind of knew everything in that scene, but I guess it's been confirmed for, for the audience.
Well, he knows something very specific. I mean, he knows that at a particular time, Brisac is actually going to be going to Lilly. I mean, that's rather more than just general suspicion.
Yes, true. Yes, so that's
And it is
probably
enough
going
to
to be
pretty much derail everything, although I don't think it does because he and Charles are in the next scene. But I mean, the other thing is that, of course, this action would all be continuous on the stage. And I think this is a scene of bustle. I mean, a lot of people going back and forth, somebody doing the music, it's going to be a mask, clean this room, it would go even faster because everybody would be running around doing things. And then this bit where Brisac is talking to Lilly and Andrew overhears him.
Yes, and I guess people coming so these little scenes would all overlap and people would be coming and going, and yes, it would be more. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So it would all kind of run into one. Yes, Mark.
Yeah, there's definitely, and I kind of picked up on it a bit into the scene reading the role, but there's definitely a lot of energy to the way that this scene is written. It's just Brisac constantly jumping to different people like, you do this, make sure this is ready. So I imagine it would not only be quick but feel quick and snappy and Aliki mentioned like not a lot has happened yet, but I think that there's enough energy to this scene to keep it moving. I don't think the audience would be, being like, when's something going to happen during the scene?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And did you notice there's that one bit, wait on your master, says Brisac to Andrew, for I know he wants you, and keep him in his study, that the noise do not molest him. What he really means is keep him in his study so he doesn't find out what's going on here.
Yeah. Yeah. Aliki was saying after the last scene that we kind of quite like Lois as a father to begin with, and now he's kind of relapsing into kind of standard dodgy dad early modern comedy role, and Brisac seems to be doing the same, because again early on he was quite endearing, or at least he was funny, but now he's just sort of he's just reverting to type a little bit, isn't he? So.
Yeah, well, they are both conspiring, as Andrew says, to do Charles out of his inheritance by, saying, well, we give you a nice allowance for books, and you just like studying anyway. And this is, somebody who's probably a teenager, and it hasn't really worked out what's going on anyway.
Let's see if he works it out in the next scene. Act 3, Scene 3. Enter Charles.
Oh, what a noise is in this house. My head is broken within a parenthesis in every corner, as if the earth was shaken with some strange colic. There are stirs and motion. Planet rules this house.
Enter
Who's
Andrew.
There? Who's there?
'Tis I, sir, faithful Andrew.
Come near and lay thine ear down. Here's no noise?
The cooks are chopping herbs and mincemeat to make pies and breaking marrow bones.
And they set them again?
Yes, in broths and puddings, and they grow stronger for the use of any man.
What speaking's that? Sure there is a massacre.
Of pigs and geese, sir, and turkeys for the spit. The cooks are angry, sirs, and that makes up the medley.
Do they thus at every dinner? I never marked them yet, nor know who is a cook.
They are sometimes sober, and then they beat as gently as a table, and servants pass across the stage laden.
What loads are these?
Meat, sir, for the kitchen, and stinking fowls the tenants have sent in. They'll ne'er be found out at a general eating. And there's fat venison, sir.
What's that?
Why, dear, those that men fatten for their private pleasures, and let their tenants starve upon the commons.
I've read of deer, but yet I ne'er ate any.
There's a fishmonger's boy with caviar, sir, anchovies and portago to make you drink.
Sure these are modern, very modern meats, for I understand them not.
No more does any man, from cacamerda or a substance worse, till they be greased with oil and rubbed with onions and then flung out of doors. They are rare salads.
Why is all this? Prithee, tell me, Andrew. Are there any princes to dine here today? By this abundance, sure, there should be princes. I've read of entertainment for the gods at half this charge. Will not 6 dishes serve 'em? I never had but one, and that a small one.
Your brother's married this day. He's married. Your younger brother, Eustace.
What of that?
And all the friends about are bidden hither. There's not a dog that knows the house but comes too.
Married? To whom?
Why, to a dainty gentlewoman, young, sweet, and modest.
Are the modest women? How do they look?
You bless yourself to see them. And Charles throws down his book. He parts with his book. He ne'er did so before yet.
What does my father do for 'em?
Gives all his land, and makes your brother heir.
Must I have nothing?
Yes, you must study still, and he'll maintain you.
I'm his eldest brother.
True, you were so, but he has leaped over your shoulders, sir.
Oh, 'tis well, he'll not inherit my understanding too.
I think not. He'll scarce find tenants to let it out to.
Hark! Hark!
The coach that brings the fair lady. And here enters Lois, Angelina, ladies, notary, etc. Now you may see her.
Sure, this should be modest, but I do not truly know what women make of it, Andrew. She has a face, looks like a story, the story of the heavens. Looks very like her.
She has a wide face then.
She has a cherubims, covered and veiled with modest blushes. Eustace be happy while Paul Charles is patient. Get me my book again and come in with me.
And exit Charles and Andrew, and enter Brisac, Eustace, Egremont, Cowsy, and Miramont.
Welcome, sweet daughter. Welcome, noble brother. And you are welcome, sir, with all your writings. Ladies, most welcome. What, my angry brother? You must be welcome too. The feast is flat, else.
I am not come for your welcome. I expect none. I bring no joys to bless the bed withal, nor songs, nor masks to glorify the nuptials. I bring an angry mind to see your folly. A sharp one, too, to reprehend you for it.
You'll stay and dine, though.
All your meat smells musty. Your table will show nothing to content me.
I'll answer you, here's good meat.
But your sauce is scurvy. It is not seasoned with the sharpness of discretion.
It seems your anger is at me, dear uncle.
Thou art not worth my anger. Thou'rt a boy, a lump of thy father's likeness, made of nothing but antique cloths and cringes. Look in thy head, it will appear a football full of fumes and rotten smoke. Lady, I pity you. You are a handsome and a sweet young lady, and ought to have a handsome man yoked to ye, and an understanding too. This is a gin-crack that can get nothing but new fashions on you. For say he have a thing, shaped like a child, 'twill either prove a tumbler or a tailor.
These are but harsh words, uncle.
So I mean 'em. Sir, you play harsher with your elder brother.
I would be loath to give you.
Do not venture. I'll make your wedding clothes fit closer to ye then. Disturb you. I'll go see my nephew. Pray, take a piece of rosemary. I'll wear it, but for the lady's sake, and none of yours. Maybe I'll see your table, too.
Pray do, sir.
A mad old gentleman.
Yes, faith, sweet daughter. He has been thus his whole age, to my knowledge. He has made Charles his heir, I know that certainly. Then why should he grudge Eustace anything?
I would not have a light head, nor one laden with too much learning, as they say this Charles is, that makes his book his mistress. Sure, there's something hid in this old man's anger that declares him not a mere sot.
Come, shall we go and seal, brother? All things are ready, and the priest is here. When Charles has set his hand unto the writings, as he shall instantly, then to the wedding, and so to dinner.
Come, let's seal the book first for my daughter's jointure.
Let's be private in it, sir.
And they all exit. And props to Aliki there for managing to play Miramont and Lois at the same time. Right. Well, what was that you were saying, Lois, a minute ago about about Charles seeing a lovely love,
Yeah.
Aliki.
Yeah, I suddenly in that scene had a moment's sympathy for Charles's misogyny, because it occurred to me that his father probably has had various dalliances when he was young, given his behavior so far. And then he's been away at university, and with his head in Latin, all he's got is Latin authors and their misogyny / salaciousness in his head.
Yeah.
So that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And actually, his professors too probably are cut from the same cloth. So yeah, well, he probably doesn't know any better in spite of all his learning. Lois, you were going to say something.
Yeah, well, it's quite true. I mean, most classical literature, I mean, there are some virtuous women, but they're really non-entities, and you hardly remember them. And most of the women are horrible. You know, all these powerful figures from antiquity that, you know, murder their husbands or their children or something. That's the people you think of first. Yeah, he's not the only one. I mean, I think it's in She Stoops to Conquer that the hero is, you know, he's great with barmaids and prostitutes and so on. But when he meets Kate Hardcastle, she is apparently the first sort of modest woman. I mean, again, the way the word modest comes up, in other words, you know, someone who is not sexually experienced, and it's such a shock.
Yeah. Yes, that's a good observation. Mark, did I see your hand go up?
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe you could try to make something more of that in production, of having him very much noticing kind of, again, his father's dalliances with women in the play. Perhaps Lilly, if it depends on where that plot line goes, whether that actually is explored as something that has been ongoing, or if it's Brisac is trying to seduce her, but may or may not manage it. We'll see.
It certainly sounds as if it's been ongoing. It sounds as if that's why he set her up with Andrew. But as you say, we'll see. But I mean, it's a good point. Even if, depending on where that plot line goes, you could always have, you know, maids crossing through the stage, couldn't you? Like in earlier scenes, and him kind of being a bit lecherous and creepy with them. Just to kind of, create that sort of sense of this is what these boys have grown up with, and maybe that's why they are who they are. You know, Eustace is this would-be Lothario, and Charles just wants nothing to do with women whatsoever. Yeah, it's a good point.
So there's also the whole thing with the food with Charles.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it suggests to me that he basically sits in his study. Maybe somebody brings him a very thin meal. He's obviously, you know, whoever's playing him would need to be relatively svelte, I think.
Yeah.
You know, and he can't see. I don't think he can even see the point of all that. It's what, you know, what's, and he's clearly never seen the food sort of in production. It's always being brought. So he's had a very sheltered existence, and probably, you know, if he's ever been near a kitchen, it's a fleeting visit, I'm guessing.
Yeah, never been downstairs in his life, I don't think. Lois, then Aliki.
Well, I think he's been away anyway, hasn't he, at university or somewhere? And clearly it's a very ascetic sort of existence, which I think it probably, I mean, it is odd because university students who had money could certainly have a much better life than that. Whether his father just didn't send him any allowance or whether he didn't notice that he had one, which is possible. But I mean, he is incredibly ignorant, in fact. I mean, there are a lot of things he's never heard of, including things you would think anybody would have heard of. But I mean, it's lovely when he sees her. You know, she has a face, looks like a story. What a wonderful line.
Yeah, really.
You can see the transformation is about to.
Yeah, absolutely. Aliki.
Yeah, I was complaining before about him and Andrew bantering all the time instead of doing anything to advance the plot, and how frustrating I found it since I wanted the plot to get moving. But I mean, here's the payoff, right? Because a scene of banter and then a scene opening with banter, and then all of a sudden, bang, on one line. Really long.
That's what's going on. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's all there.
Mhm.
Good. And we have a sort of a moment from Miramont there as well, being a bit grumpy. Do we think he's going to turn into the fairy godmother?
Mhm.
I mean,
Maybe.
he's already declared his intention to help Charles in any way he can.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's out of line.
Yeah, we'll
Um,
see. We'll see. Okay, if no one else has anything to add, let's find out. In fact, because in the next scene, Act 3, Scene 4, we have the entrance of Charles, Miramont, and Andrew.
Nay, you're undone. Have you no greater feeling?
You were sensible of the great book, sir, when it fell on your head, and now the house is ready to fall. Do you fear nothing?
Will he have my books too?
No, he has a book, a fair one too to read on, and read wonders. I would thou hadst her in thy study, nephew, and 'twere but to new-string her.
Yes, I saw her, and methought 'twas a curious piece of learning, handsomely bound, and of a dainty letter.
He flung away his book.
I like that in him. Would he had flung away his dullness too, and speak to her.
And must my brother have all?
All that your father has.
And that fair woman too?
That woman also.
He has enough then. May I not see her sometimes and call her sister? I will do him no wrong.
It makes me mad. I could not cry for anger. These old fools are the most stubborn and the willfulest coxcombs. Farewell, fault your book. Forget your brother. You are my heir, and I'll provide your wife. I'll look upon this marriage, though I hate it.
Exit Miramont, enter Brisac.
Where is my son?
There, sir, casting a figure what chopping children his brother shall have.
He does well. How dost, Charles? Still at thy book?
He's studying now, sir, who shall be his father.
Peace, you rude knave. Come hither, Charles. Be merry.
I thank you. I'm busy at my book, sir.
You must put your hand, my Charles, as I would have you unto a little piece of parchment here. Only your name. You write a reasonable hand.
But I may do unreasonably to write it. What is it, sir?
To pass the land I have, sir, unto your younger brother.
It's no more?
No, it is nothing. You shall be provided for, and new books you shall have still, and new studies, and have your means brought in without thy care, boy, and one still to attend you.
This shows your love, father.
I'm tender to you.
Like a stone, I take it.
Why, father, I'll go down, and please you let me, because I see the thing they call the gentlewoman. I see no woman but through contemplation, and there I'll do it before the company, and wish my brother fortune.
Do, I prithee.
I must not stay, for I have things above require my study.
No, thou shalt not stay. Thou shalt have a brave dinner, too.
How has he overthrown himself forever? I will down into the cellar and be stark drunk for anger. And they all exit. Another pacey little scene there. I do get the sense that these are all meant to be flowing, one into the other, like Mark said.
Yeah.
Alan, you have joined us.
Oh,
Yes.
right.
After an hour and 3 restarts on the machine.
You are here.
Hmm.
Awesome. Okay. Mark, if you are happy to continue with your reading of your roles, then what I will do is give my parts to Alan, if I may.
Okay.
Alan, so if I could give you Eustace and Andrew.
Eustace and Andrew.
And,
Okay.
and Mark, you stay with the roles you've got, and everyone else at ease.
And where are we?
We are we've just finished Act 3, Scene 4, so the next one will be Act 3, Scene 5. But let's discuss
Page number clue?
Bottom of 33.
33 in my script. Yes.
35 in mine.
Yes.
32.
35 in mine too, Alan.
Oh.
But let's discuss before we move on. Act 3, Scene 4. It was short, but it was sweet, and things are starting to move, I think.
Yeah.
Mark.
So Andrew at the end there said, "Now is he o'erthrown himself forever," which suggests to me, like, we didn't get a stage direction for it, unsurprisingly. But it sounds to me like he did indeed sign the papers. That's what that sounds like to me. They didn't otherwise directly say that he has, though.
Yeah. No, well spotted, because I was wondering what that was about.
On the other hand, he does say, "But I may do unreasonably to write it." What is it? Is it no more? There's no point where he actually says that he's signing it, or that, and I don't think his father. I mean, maybe this father, "I'll go down and please you let me, first I'm going to go down and see what's going on and get another look at this woman." I don't know. It doesn't. It's not clear.
No, it's not.
I think it is. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, go on,
He
Aliki.
says, "I see no woman but through contemplation," in his last speech, and there I'll do it before the company.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Brother Fortune.
Yeah. I think
He
you're
technically
right.
hasn't done it yet,
Yeah.
but he has said that he's going to do it.
Yes.
Yeah, he'll do it really public recantation.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that makes sense. No wonder his father's pleased. Yeah.
Yeah. And so you're right. You're right, Mark. Andrew, that is what he's referring to. But it's just he's going to go down and do it publicly at in front of all the wedding party.
Which
Aliki.
might mean he won't.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, well, we can hope.
Yeah.
Yes.
One can only hope. Yes.
He does say, "I may do unreasonably to write it. What is it?" So at that point, he hasn't signed it. So he's obviously looking at it. And then when he says, "This shows your love," maybe he has the document, he hands it back, and then we have the whole thing with
And I think that this shows your love, which his father, who isn't terribly subtle, takes as honest, is ironic, or is potentially ironic.
Yes.
Yeah. So
this is how much you value me. You're going to disinherit me completely.
Yeah.
I mean, is Charles playing a very clever game here, or is he sort of blundering into the next part of the plot? I don't know. Does he realise how much he is being plotted against?
Well, I think he might realise, but he might still be going along with it just because he doesn't really know what else to do. I mean, we've been talking about how inexperienced he is. He's definitely intelligent, so he probably knows what's going on, but that doesn't necessarily mean he's got any agency to do anything about it. Aliki, you look like you wanted to speak.
I mean, two different people have told him.
Yeah.
So he knows, and I don't think he needs to be being particularly devious in order to be going down to do it in front of the company. Maybe he just wants to take another look at that girl whose face is like a story before he decides.
Yeah.
And Andrew does say now he's overthrown himself. That does suggest that he really appears to have screwed it up.
Yes, or it suggests that he is being honest in his intent when he says to his father, "Okay, I'll go down there and do it." Like it appears to Andrew, at least, who knows him better than anyone, that he does actually mean it, that he is going to do it. So
and the notary has already told us that these bonds are absolutely cast iron.
Yes.
No way you can. So I think that the significance of that earlier on, I think, is important.
Yeah, it's very well structured.
These are very carefully put together.
Yeah, and I think this scene is one that you could really have fun with, in production, in terms of working out exactly, at what point do things get passed between people, and just quite how much irony is there in what people are saying. I think this would be a nice chewy scene to do in a workshop. Absolutely. Actually, just flagging that up for a future session, maybe.
Yeah, quite fun, I think, for Charles to play it, on the one hand, as if he sort of has finally realized what's going on and is being quite ironic in another way. Just how far you can have him on that spectrum between total naivety and knowingness. I think keep him from looking like a complete idiot, and yet somehow make it plausible that he would even think of allowing himself to be disinherited. I mean, he must have some idea of his father's house, lands. I mean, all the stuff that he's basically giving up for a nice room somewhere with a few books.
Yes, absolutely. You see, we're straying into the territory that makes Rob's eyes roll slightly here, but I'm in charge today, so you see, this is where I really enjoy the psychology of this sort of situation, because you can't always apply psychology in any kind of lucid or sensible way to an early modern comedy, but here I think you probably can, because if he's been gaslit his whole life, and everyone's telling him, well, your brother, yeah, okay, he's younger, but he's better than you, really, he'd be better at doing this, wouldn't he, really? And you're just really good for the you're brainy, you go off and do the intellectual stuff, and he's gone off to university and he's flourished there in his own aesthetic little way. Maybe I think it would be really interesting, putting my director's hat on for a minute, to actually get into these characters and, as you say, Lois, like find a way that kind of works psychologically for the audience, of like, yes, this is an intelligent guy and he does know what's going on, but he still doesn't feel like he has a choice to say no. That's something I would enjoy getting into. Anyway, yeah. Lois, yeah.
Yeah, well, I'd add that although you can't talk about subtext and psychology in a lot of plays of this period, I think with Fletcher and with a lot of later Jacobean and Caroline drama, there is plenty of space for that. I mean, there are understated lines, there are statements that are not finished. There are lots of things which clearly allow you to assume that something is going on in a character's mind that he or she is not actually expressing.
Yes. Huzzah for subtext. Marvelous. Anyway, if no one else has anything to add, let's move on. So Alan, you're stepping into Eustace's role, and we have the entrance of Eustace with Lois, Angelina, ladies, Cowsy, Notary, and Miramont.
Come, let him bring his son's hand, and all's done. Is yours ready?
Yes, I'll dispatch you presently, immediately, for in truth I am hungry.
Do speak a pace, for we be exactly. Do we not stay long, mistress?
I find no fault. Better things well done than want time to do them. Uncle, why are you sad?
Sweet-smelling blossom, would I were thine uncle to thine own content, I'd make thy husband's state 1,000, better a yearly 1,000. Thou hast missed a man, but that he is addicted to his study and knows no other mistress than his mind, would weigh down bundles of these empty kexes.
Can he speak, sir?
Faith, yes, but not to women. His language is to heaven, and heavenly wonder to nature and her dark and secret causes.
And does he speak well there?
Oh, admirably. But he's too bashful to behold a woman. There's none that sees him, nor he troubles none.
He is a man.
Faith, yes, and a clear, sweet spirit.
Then conversation, methinks.
So I think too, but it is his rugged fate. So I leave you.
I like thy nobleness.
See, my mad uncle is courting my fair mistress.
Let him alone. There's nothing that allays an angry mind so soon as a sweet beauty. He'll come to us.
And to Brisac and Charles.
I don't think they heard your stage direction.
Okay. Let me repeat my stage direction. Enter Brisac and Charles.
Ah, my father's here, my brother too. That's a wonder. broke like a spirit from his cell.
Come hither, come nearer, Charles. 'Twas your desire to see my noble daughter and the company, and give your brother joy, and then to seal, boy. You do like a good brother.
Marry does he, and he shall have my love forever, Ford. Put to your hand, put to your hand now.
Here's the deed ready, sir. No, you must pardon me a while, I tell you. I am in contemplation. Do not trouble me.
Come, leave thy study, Charles.
I'll leave my life first. I study now to be a man. I found it. Before, what man was but my argument.
I like this best of all. He has taken fire. His dull mist flies away.
Will you write, brother?
No, brother, no. I have no time for poor things. I'm taking the height of that bright constellation.
I say you trifle time, son.
I will not seal, sir. I'm your eldest, and I'll keep my birthright. Heaven forbid I should become example. Had you only showed me land, I delivered it, and been a proud man to have parted with it. It is dirt and labour. Do I speak right, uncle?
Bravely, my boy, and bless thy tongue.
I'll forward, but you have opened to me such a treasure. I find my mind free. Heaven direct my fortune.
Can he speak now? Is this a Santa sacrifice?
Such an inimitable piece of beauty that I have studied long, and now found only that I'll part sooner with my soul of reason, and be a plant, a beast, a fish, a fly, and only make the number of things up, and yield 1 foot of land, if she be tied to it.
He speaks unhappily.
And methinks bravely. This, the mere scholar?
You but vex yourself, brother, and vex your study too.
Go you and study, for 'tis time, young Eustace. You want both man and manners. I've studied both, although I've made no show on't. Go turn the volumes over I have read. Eat and digest them, that they may grow in thee. Wear out the tedious night with thy dim lamp, and sooner lose the day than leave a doubt. Distill the sweetness from the poet's spring, and learn to love. Thou knowest not what fair is. Traverse the stories of the great heroes, the wise and civil lives of good men. Walk through. Thou hast seen nothing but the face of countries, and brought home nothing but their empty words. Why wouldst thou wear a jewel of this worth? That has no worth within thee to preserve her. Beauty clear and fair, where the air rather like a perfume dwells, where the violet and the rose the blue veins in blush disclose, and come to honour nothing else. Where to live near and planted there is to live and still live new. Where to gain a favour is more than light, perpetual bliss. Make me live by serving you. Here again back recall to this light a stranger to himself and all. Both the wonder and the story shall be yours, and eke the glory. I am your servant and your thrall.
Oh, speak such another ode, and take all yet. What say you to the scholar now?
I wonder. Oh, sorry, the page just disappeared. Oh, where the hell is it?
Actually, it's fine, Lois. Let's just
Oh.
stop there while Lois finds her page. Because actually, let's just pause. Let's take a pause in the middle of the scene to just reflect on what's just happened. As Aliki typed into the chat in big letters, poetry.
Yeah. Or a song, I don't know. What do you think?
Or,
Yeah.
I think it's a poem.
Well,
I mean, it could be
Yeah, I
a
think it probably
song,
is.
but I think
Miramont said, speaks such another ode, so it must have been poetry.
ode. Yes. Okay. Odes are
For an
us.
opera, he would have been bursting into an aria at this point. I mean, it's exactly what would happen in an opera. But
Yes.
yeah, it's amazing. I don't
It
know if we're
is.
meant to think it's an improvisation or whether he just happened to know this one by heart or what.
Watch out
Yeah.
for The Elder Brother, the musical.
Yeah. Indeed. I mean,
Yeah.
it's. Go turn the volumes over. I have read, eat, and digest them, and they may grow. Yeah, I don't know. I think he's making this up on the spot, isn't he?
I think so too.
Yeah.
He's just
Yeah.
absolutely besotted, and
Yeah.
suddenly all his learning
Yeah.
Well, probably for the first time has a practical use.
It's a lovely poem, actually.
Mm. It really is, and I'm sort of I'm constantly thinking about how to stage things, and I'm just thinking with this, like, what you do with it, because on the one hand it's beautiful, and it could be this really like tender moment where, you know, like Donald said, you know, all his learning finally there's a use for it, and it all spills out, and it's just amazing. It could be quite a spellbinding moment, but there's something inherently funny. I think maybe it's just me being being sort of,
well,
know,
it's
it's
totally improbable, but you could do something with a lighting change and maybe music in the background, just something that's obviously completely unnatural, and everybody just freezes while he says this.
Yes, I mean, it's kind of yes. I mean, I do. I think it would be very easy to make it like beautiful, but there's just something inherently silly about the fact that
I think it has to be beautiful and preposterous at the same time. We have to believe that the transformation is real.
Yes.
And I suppose the actor playing Charles has to decide at what points, and you know, so is it just on the shoes on a sixpence? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yes. It's really the whole bit before he says, "I will not seal, sir." And, you know, while he's staring at her, "I have no time for poor things. I'm taking the height of that bright constellation." And somehow that's got to suggest that something really huge is going on inside.
Yes, that would be the point if this was a film. That would be the point where the violins would swing in and start to swell. Yes, absolutely. Sadly, we don't have any violins, but hey, you never know.
Sadly, we don't.
One day we might.
Yeah, it's really but the poem.
Sorry, Lois, carry on.
No, sorry, I shouldn't rattle on. I'm just the end of that poem is so totally personal. I mean, you know, you're again back recalled to this light, a stranger to himself and all, which is what he realizes. I mean, he's just been out of it. He's kind of coming to life.
Yeah. It's really so beautiful and touching. Alan?
Yeah, and one slight side issue on this is that I did the first pass edit on this about 18 months ago, which I've got very little recollection. But there were two editions that were given to me to compare in this, and one of them was entirely in verse.
Oh, okay, right.
So, you know, there are various issues in this over the evolution of the piece.
I mean, this one's mainly in verse, isn't it?
It is mainly, isn't it?
Yeah, but it was a much heavier verse.
Right.
Okay. You know, it really was all the way through Dum-de-Dum-de-Dum.
Yeah, the verse is light on its feet. It was not the sort of mighty light or anything. I mean, it's...
Yeah, well, Lois was saying this yesterday about how in the last session about how easy it is to read because of the feminine endings.
It's those so-called feminine endings, or you know, endings where there's a weak syllable at the end.
I mean, the meter changes throughout this ode, but it's I just wanted to stop and consider it because this is quite a long scene and I didn't want it to get lost. The other thing I just wanted to flag up while we were stopped was Miramont's putting his 5 eggs in, isn't he? With Angelina, he's just like letting her know, you know, about this other brother. Any thoughts about that? I mean, I think we know where that's going, but any thoughts about it? No. Okay, all right. Let's pick it up then. Donald, do you want to just do the last 4 lines of that?
Of the ode?
Yes.
From a stranger to himself.
Yes, let's go from there and we'll pick up from there. Thank you.
A stranger to himself and all, both the wonder and the story shall be yours and eke the glory. I am your servant and your thrall.
Speak such another ode, and take all yet. What say ye to the scholar now?
I wonder, is he your brother, sir?
Yes, would that he were buried. I fear he'll make an ass of me, a younger.
Speak not so softly, sir. 'Tis very likely.
Come, leave your finical talk and let's dispatch, Charles.
Dispatch? What?
Why, the land.
You are deceived, sir. Now I perceive what is that woos a woman, and what maintains her when she's wooed. I'll stop here. A wilful poverty ne'er made of beauty, nor want of means maintained it virtuously. Though land and monies be no happiness, yet they are counted good additions. That use I'll make. He that neglects a blessing, though he wants present knowledge how to use it, neglects himself. Maybe I have done you wrong, lady, whose love and hope went hand in hand together. Maybe my brother that has long expected the happy hour and blessed my ignorance. Pray give me leave, sir. I shall clear all doubts. Why did you show me you? Pray tell me that.
And talk thee into a pension for thy knavery.
You, happy you, why did you break unto me the rosy sugared morn that broke so sweetly? I am a man and have desires within me, affections too, though they are drowned a while and lay dead, will the spring of beauty raise them. Till I saw those eyes, I was but a lump. Chaos of confusedness dwelt in me. Then from those eyes shot love. He distinguished, and into form he drew my faculties. And now I know my land, now I love too.
We had best remove the maid.
It is too late, sir. I have her figure here. Nay, frown not, Eustace. There are less worthy souls for younger brothers. This is no form of silk, but sanctity, which wild, lascivious hearts can never dignify. Remove her where you will. I walk along still. Like the light, we make no separation. You may sooner part the billows of the sea and put a bar betwixt their fellowships than blot out my remembrance. Sooner shut old time into a den and stay his motion, wash off the swift hours from his downy wings, or steal eternity to stop his glass and shut the sweet idea I have in me. Room for an elder brother, pray give place, sir.
A studied duel, too. Take heed, he'll beat thee. He's frightened the old justice into a fever. Hope he'll disinherit him too for an ass, for though he be grave in years, he's a great baby.
You not think me mad?
No, certain, sir. I've heard nothing from you but things excellent.
You look upon my clothes and laugh at me, my scurvy clothes.
They have rich linings, sir. I would your brother.
Was a golden gaudy.
But touch them inwardly, they smell of copper.
And ye love me? I am an heir, sweet lady, however I appear a poor dependent. Love you with honour, I shall love so ever. Is your eye ambitious? I may be a great man. Is wealth or lands you covet? My father must die.
Well put in. I hope he'll take it deeply.
Old men are not immortal, as I take it. Is it you look for youth and handsomeness? I do confess my brother's a handsome gentleman, but he shall give me leave to lead the way, lady. And you love for love, and make that the reward. The old man shall not love his heaps of gold with a more doting superstition than I'll love you. The young man his delights, the merchant when he ploughs the angry sea up and sees the mountain billows falling on him, as if all elements and all their angers were turned into one vowed destruction, shall not with greater joy embrace his safety. We'll live together like two wanton vines, circling our souls and loves in one another. We'll spring together and we'll bear one fruit. One joy shall make us smile and one grief mourn. One age go with us and one hour of death shall shut our eyes. And one grave make us happy.
And one hand seal the match. I'm yours forever.
Nay, stay.
Certainly, 'tis done, sir.
There was a contract?
Only conditional, that if he had the land, he had my love too. This gentleman's the heir, and he'll maintain it. Pray, be not angry, sir, at what I say, or if you be, 'tis at your own adventure. You have the outside of a pretty gentleman, but by my troth your inside is but barren. 'Tis not a face I only am in love with, or will I say your face is excellent, a reasonable hunting face to court the wind with, nor they're not words unless they be well placed too, nor your sweet damies, or your hired verses, nor telling me of clothes, nor coach and horses, nor your visits each day in new suits, nor your black patches you wear variously, some cut like stars, some in half moons, some lozenges, all which but show you still a younger brother.
Oh, gramercy, wench, thou hast a noble soul too.
Nor your long travels, nor your little knowledge can make me dote upon you. Faith, go study, and glean some goodness that you may show manly. Your brother at my suit, I'm sure, will teach you, or only study how to get a wife, sir. You're cast far behind. 'Tis good you should be melancholy. It shows like a gamester that had lost his money. And 'tis the fashion to wear your arm in a scarf, sir, for you've had a shrewd cut o'er the fingers.
Lois?
But are ye in earnest?
Yes, believe me, father. You shall ne'er choose for me. You're old and dim, sir, and the shadow of the earth eclipsed your judgment. You've had your time without control, dear father, and you must give me leave to take mine now, sir.
This is the last time of asking. Will you set your hand too?
This is the last time of answering. I will never.
Out of my doors!
Most willingly.
Oh, ye shall do, you, thou of the tribe of many asses. Get out, come, and never trouble thee more till thy chops be cold, fool.
Must I be gone too?
I will never know thee.
Then this man will. What fortune he shall run, father, be it good or bad, I must partake it with him.
And enter Egremont.
When shall the masque begin?
It's done already. All is broken off. I'm undone, friend. My brother's wise again, and has spoiled all. Will not release the land, has won the wench too.
Oh, could he not stay till the masque were past? We're ready. What a scurvy trick's this.
Oh, you may vanish. Perform it at some hall, where the citizens' wives may see it for 6 pence apiece and a cold supper. Come, let's go, Charles. And now, my noble daughter, I'll sell the tiles of my house ere thou shalt want, wench. Rate up your dinner, sir, and sell it cheap. Some younger brother will take it up in commodities. Send you joy, nephew Eustace, if you study the law, keep your great pippin pies. I'll go far with ye.
I'll have your blessing.
No, meet me no more. Farewell, I will blast mine eyes else.
I will not.
Nor send not for you for gowns.
I'll wear coarse flannel first.
Come, let's go take some counsel.
It's too late.
Then stay and dine. It may be we shall vex 'em.
And they all exit. And that's the end of that scene. I don't know about anyone else, but I really enjoyed that.
Yes.
Thoughts from the room, Lois?
A lovely touch of... I imagine everybody is standing there in appalled silence, and Egremont enters, probably waving some trinkets for the masque, and says, "When's the masque going to start?" I mean, that should bring the house down.
Yeah, and the fact that the comedy genius of Egremont there is like, not only is it like, when's the masque starting? It's like when he hears what's happening, it's like, oh, couldn't he have waited till afterwards?
Yeah.
So there's a man who likes his masks.
Yeah.
And Angelina really comes into her own as well, doesn't she?
Oh, wow.
Doesn't
Yeah.
she? Yes.
Yeah, she really gets her teeth into it.
Yes. In quite a surprising way, really. I mean, we've only seen her in a couple of scenes before this, and she was a great character, I thought. But I wasn't ever getting any hint in her previous two scenes that she was likely to stand up to her father and say, no, I'm not doing what you're telling me. So this is, go Angelina.
Yeah. What's odd about it is that, I mean, Charles, in fact, refuses to sign away his birthright and is therefore the heir to quite a large fortune. And Angelina's father is wealthy anyway, and the two of them should be a really rich couple, but they're going off as if they've been disowned by everybody and we're going to be living in a hovel somewhere.
Aliki.
Yeah, it is odd, isn't it? I mean, I was very kind to Lois at first and thought that he was looking out for his daughter and wasn't that concerned about worldly goods since he had a fortune already. And when he first went to Brisac, he seemed to be saying, I'll take either son.
Yeah.
So why all of a sudden is he so put out and furious? Is he embarrassed? Have he and Brisac come to so good an understanding about how much preferable Eustace is? I don't know, but as you say, she should inherit. She's her father's, as Lois said, she's her father's only heir. She also has whatever properties Miramont has, or they will have whatever properties Miramont has because he's told them. But yeah,
I mean, I suppose in terms of their fathers, they're not going to inherit anything until the fathers pass away. So I mean, the fathers can cut them off now. So they might be, you know, future wealth maybe, but living in poverty for now. But yes, Miramont did say earlier on that he was going to leave his fortune to Charles, but then I don't think Charles was actually there when he said it. So maybe maybe nobody knows that yet, other than Miramont. Maybe no one's kind of aware that this is going to happen. Lois.
Yeah, I mean, Miramont does, in fact, say, and now, my noble daughter, I'll sell the tiles of my house ere thou want went. So presumably they're going to go live with him.
Yeah.
But it's odd because it is presented really as if, you know, our hero and heroine are going out into the snowstorm, more or less, whereas, in fact, there's no problem at all, really, about their being comfortable. It's kind of a double think that's going on here, I think. But also, both Charles and Angelina are really fairly brutal in the way that they talk to everybody else.
Yeah, they are. Maybe they're going out into the emotional snowstorm.
Yeah,
Sorry,
and they're very young, and they're maybe being melodramatic. Don't think you'll get your fancy dresses. Well, I'll wear a sack if I have to, Dad.
Yes. I mean, that line would absolutely work today. We were saying yesterday, or I think I was actually saying yesterday, that you know, these comedies where the generational tension is built up in a three-dimensional and realistic way, they do tend to translate well to a modern audience, and this one is continuing to do that, I think. And again, to go off down the psychological route for a moment, yes, there's the thing that they're quite, you know, they're young, and so it's all kind of you know, they might not quite sort of, they might be feeling more emotional about, I mean, clearly they're both very emotional people, but also there's this thing of like being cast off. It's not just about the money. It's like there's the material wealth, but there's also the wealth of you know, family and filial love and, you know, all that kind of stuff, which they are being outcast from. So I think, again, I think in production you could probably make that work, even if it's a little bit melodramatic in the script. I think in the reading, I think maybe you could make it work on an emotional level on the stage at least. Alan, do I see a hand there?
Yeah, I mean, I commented yesterday that there were bits of the early scenes that we had which reminded me of Austin, which is what, 150 plus years later than this, and I think we're again getting that same vibe coming through. it is the marriage market, isn't it?
Yes, I mean, to be fair, most comedies that we do are about the marriage market to one degree or another. But I do know what you mean. There's a three-dimensionality. Is that a word to these characters? That kind of really does root them in the real world. Mark.
I mean, I agree with Alan. I feel like there's just like a feeling of kind of Regency romance to this, with the elder brother and the younger brother, and the elder brother being like, him seeming distant and focused on his books, but then has this confession of love all of a sudden. It's not the same, but it's I feel like it has enough they have enough echoes of one another that marketing wise, I feel like you can lean into that to hopefully get the Jane Austen fans in the house.
Move it forward 150 years and put everybody in Empire line dresses. Yes, the men would look lovely. The thing I particularly liked as well about this was because we had that rather beautiful and slightly silly but kind of fabulous ode from Charles, and then he continued to go on. And he went on for quite a bit, and it was all very beautiful. But I was starting to think, well, we're getting a bit silly now, because he went on for so long. And then what I really loved was the fact Angelina then went on for quite a bit. Not to the same degree as Charles, but like I did go through a moment mid-scene where it's like, oh, he's just talking a lot at her. And she's just sort of there, presumably sort of semi-swooning all the way through this. But then no, she actually gets to have a couple of really big chunky speeches where she states her mind in a very forthright way. So that was quite a nice balance. That it kind of the fact that they were sort of echoing each other slightly, I thought was a sign of a good match. Maybe. Lois.
Yeah, the one thing that could be slightly disturbing or maybe just psychologically acute, I don't know, is that they spend most of their time saying how awful Eustace is and how stupid and elderly their father is. And, there's a certain amount about how much they like each other, but particularly it seems as if what they're really united in is despising Eustace and courtiers and money and all this stuff. I mean, it could become rather nasty, I think, but you could also play it as just, oh boy, I've discovered idealism, and I'm going to join the Green Party, and it's
yes.
wonderful. Yeah.
Oh, you have a shitty dad too.
Yeah.
You could take it that way, maybe. I don't know. You're right. I mean, it could get quite bitter, but I think there's ways to play it anyway. Unless anyone has, sorry, Donald.
I was just going to say, when I started reading those long sententious bits, it's probably the first time in the play where we've had that, I think. And it occurred to me, yes, you could cut it. On the other hand, what I think would be interesting there is Angelina's reaction to it. So actually those words become less important and it becomes about her, because she then sort of takes up the baton, doesn't she? So I just wonder whether if you cut it, you wouldn't give Angelina the opportunity to do her. So in fact, she becomes the focus of the scene rather than Charles, which would make it much more interesting.
Yeah,
the words are neither here nor there. It's the effect they're having on
her
and
response.
Then she gives as good as she wants.
Yeah. No, I think you're absolutely right, and I think there's probably room for both. I think there's room for, her reactions, and those taking center stage, and I also think there's maybe room for a bit of judicious trimming, maybe, but who knows? We'll see. Right, we need to press on because time is moving on apace. Act 4, Scene 1, enter Brisac, Eustace, Egremont, and Cowsy.
Ne'er talk to me, you are no men, but maskers, shapes, shadows, and the signs of men. Court bubbles that every breath or breaks or blows away. You have no souls, no metal in your bloods, no heat to stir you when you have occasion. Frozen, dull things that must be turned with levers. Are you the courtiers and the traveled gallants, the sprightly fellows that the people talk of? You have no more spirit than 3 sleepy sops.
What would you have me do, sir?
Follow your brother, and get you out of doors, and seek your fortune. Stand still becalmed, and let an aged dotard, a hair-brained puppy, and a bookish boy that never knew a blade above a penknife, how to cut his meat in characters, cross my design, and take thine own wench from thee, in mine own house too, thou despised poor fellow.
The reverence that I ever bear to you, sir, then to my uncle, with whom it had been but sauciness, to have been so rough.
And we, not seeing him strive in his own cause that was principal, and should have led us on, thought it ill manners to begin a quarrel here.
You dare do nothing. Do you make your care the excuse of your cowardliness? 3 boys and hobby horses with 3 penny halberts would beat you all. You must not say so. Yes, and sing it too. You are a man of peace, therefore we must give way. I'll make my way, and therefore quickly leave me, or I'll force you. And having first torn off your flaunting feathers, I'll trample on them. And if that cannot teach you to quit my house, I'll kick you out of my gates. You gaudy glowworms carrying seeming fire, yet have no heat within you. Oh, blessed travail, how much we owe thee for our power to suffer.
Some spleenative youths now that had never seen more than the country smoke will grow in color. It would in us.
Yeah, marry would it? What? That's our prime courtiers and must know no angers, but give thanks for our injuries if we purpose to hold our places.
Will you find the door? And find it suddenly. You shall lead the way, sir, with your perfumed retinue, and recover the now lost Angelina, or build on it. I will adopt some beggar's doubtful issue before thou shalt inherit.
A will to counsel, and what may be done by man's wit or valour, we'll put in execution.
Do, or never hope I shall know thee.
And exit Eustace, Egremont, and Cowsy, and enter Lois.
Oh, sir, have I found you?
I never hid myself. Whence flows this fury, with which, as it appears, you come to fright me?
Smell a plot, mere conspiracy among ye all, to defeat me of my daughter. And if she be not suddenly delivered, untainted in her reputation too, the best of France shall know how I am juggled with. She's my heir. And if she may be ravished thus from my care, farewell nobility. Honor and blood are mere neglected nothings.
Nay then, my lord, you go too far, and tax him whose innocency understands not what fear is. If your unconstant daughter will not dwell on certainties, must you thenceforth conclude that I am fickle? What have I omitted to make good my integrity and truth? Nor can her lightness nor your supposition cast an aspersion on me.
I am wounded, in fact, nor can words cure it. Do not trifle, but speedily, once more, I do repeat it, restore my daughter as I brought her hither. You shall hear from me in such a kind as you will blush to answer.
And exit Lois.
All the world, I think, conspires to vex me. I will not torment myself. Some spriteful mirth must banish the rage and melancholy which hath almost choked me. To knowing man 'tis physic, and 'tis thought on one merry hour I'll have, in spite of fortune, to cheer my heart. And this is that appointed. This night I'll hug my Lilly in mine arms. Provocatives are sent before to cheer me. We old men need 'em. And though we pay dear for our stolen pleasures, so it be done securely. The charge, much like a sharp sauce, gives 'em relish. Well, honest Andrew, I gave you a farm, and it shall have a beacon to give warning to my other tenants when the foe approaches. And presently, you being bestowed elsewhere, I'll graft it with dexterity on your forehead. Indeed I will, Lilly. I come! Poor Andrew.
And exit Brisac. And that's the end of that scene. Oh, it's all kicking off.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was a corker of a scene. Thoughts from the room. Anyone have any thoughts?
Having read what's his face? Lewis, having read Lewis all today, I had no idea he was going to go that way.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting, how you'd kind of make him a kind of man who, as soon as one little thing goes wrong, is, you're all out to get me, I'll teach you.
Yeah, Lois.
Yeah.
It's
Sorry.
also rather odd. It's odd that Lewis seems to think that his daughter is, that that's all Brisac's fault, that his daughter has been ravished from him. I mean, as far as I can make out, Charles goes off with her and they go to Miramont's house. I mean, I think that's what's intended. What Lewis is imagining, I can't say.
Well, you see, this is where I wave my little psychology flag again here, because I love this scene. Because you'd expect the next scene to be the two lovers, out in the wilderness in a cave somewhere, or cozy in a drawing room at their uncle's house, but metaphorically out in a cave in the wilderness, and instead you get the two fathers ripping chunks out of each other, and also you get Brisac ripping chunks out of Eustace before Lewis turns up. And I just think, psychologically speaking, this is really, really interesting, because it's, these are people that we could recognize today. People do behave like this. As Aliki said, you get crossed by one person and you immediately project it onto someone else and take it out onto someone else. That's a kind of modern psychological trope that we're getting quite familiar with. And also, the thing that just occurred to me when Brisac was berating Eustace was, oh, he's the golden child, which obviously, again, fits, because he's the one who's got who the bride has been chosen for. He's the one who's going to be made the heir, even though he's not the eldest brother. Clearly he's the golden child, but it didn't actually occur to me just how much he was until it all goes pear-shaped. And then all of a sudden, when he's the only one left, he's the one who gets attacked. And he's like, whoa, where's this all come from? Because he's used to being the favoured child, and now all of a sudden he's not. And what a psychological scene. Lois, then Aliki.
Yeah, I think there's also here this feeling that all the older men have, that being tough and ready to fight is the sign of manhood, and that Eustace and his friends should have basically killed Charles, or done something to stop him going off with Angelina. I mean, Brisac also is quite rude about Angelina, talking about your daughter's lightness to Lewis. No wonder Lewis is furious, But then, of course, it must look like that. She's engaged to one man, and then he hears the other one talk and decides she'd rather marry him and goes off with him. The whole scene is obviously, fast moving and funny. But I think, Eustace and his friends are also, I think, meant to be fairly contemptible. We've traveled, so we know how to behave, and we wouldn't dream of fighting, even though it would have been 3 against 1 if they decided to do it.
Yeah, and there's this thing of honor as well. It's like, and this ties into a sort of these narcissistic parental tropes as well, of this reflects badly on me. And so therefore I am very angry with you, with your daughter, with you and your son, with my own son, with my own daughter, with everybody, because it's all about me and how good I look, and this is all gone pear-shaped, and so now I'm going to take it out on everybody. And I mean, yeah, they are pretty contemptible characters, those cronies of Eustace's, but there is also this thing of well, yeah, no, why would we do that? What's going on in your head, old man? It's fascinating, this. Sorry, Aliki, I said you were next.
If we keep on talking about it in Regency terms. The three young men's reaction is not at all surprising. They're not Corinthians, they're macaronis. They've all been about their clothes and knowing how to bow properly and all of that. They've never given any sign at all that they know what to do with a sword or have any intention to do so. And I think, picking up on what you said about narcissism, part of what must be going on with Lewis is that he doesn't attribute agency to anybody except the other wealthy older man present. So anything that's happened, it can't be his daughter, it can't be Charles, it has to be that Lewis has been plotting against him all along.
Yeah, that's a really great observation. Yeah. Alan.
Yeah, I think you've got with the two old guys, they're both paranoid. They've both got a total sense of entitlement of whatever we says goes. And the line that was going through my mind was the carry on phraseology of infamy, infamy. They've all got it in for me.
Indeed. Well, they've all got it in for each other. Well, certainly the two older guys have. Anyone got anything else to add? Otherwise, we will press on because we still have one more scene to go. But I just want to offer props to Mark there for some very good hat work mid-scene. When he encountered himself. Very nice. So moving on to Act 4, Scene 2, and we have the entrance of Miramont and Andrew.
Do they chafe roundly?
Yes, they were rubbed with soap, sir. Now they swear aloud, and now calm again, like a ring of bells whose sound the wind still alters. And then they sit in council what to do, and then they jar again what should be done. They talk of warrants from the Parliament, complaints to the King, and forces from the province. They have 1,000 heads in 1,000 minutes, and there one a head worth a head of garlic.
Long may they chafe, and long may we laugh at 'em. A couple of pure puppies yoked together. Oh, but what says the young courtier, Master Eustace, and his two warlike friends?
No, they say but little. How much they think I know not. They look ruefully, as if they'd newly come from the bolting house. They've been quite shot through between wind and water by a she-Dunkirk, and had sprung a leak, sir. Certainly, my master was to blame.
Why, Andrew?
To take away the wenture sudden from him, and give him no lawful warning. He is tender, and of a young girl's constitution, sir, ready to get the green sickness with conceit. Had he but ta'en his lead travelling language, or brought an elegy of his condolement, that the world might obtain notice, he had been an ass. There had been some favour.
Thou sayest true, wise Andrew. But these scholars are such things when they can prattle.
Very parlous things, sir.
And when they gain the liberty to distinguish the difference twixt a father and a fool, to look below and spy a younger brother pruning up and dressing up his expectations in a rare glass of beauty too good for him, these dreaming scholars then turn tyrants, Andrew, and show no mercy.
More's the pity, sir.
Well, thou toldst me of a trick to catch my brother and anger him a little farther, Andrew. It shall be only anger, I assure thee, and little shame.
And I can feel you, sir. Hearken your ear.
And he whispers.
Thy wife?
So I assure thee, this night at 12 o'clock.
What is neat and handsome? There are 20 crowns due to thy project, Andrew. I've time to visit Charles and see what lecture he reads to his mistress. That done, I'll not fail to be with you.
Or I to watch my master.
And they exit. And that is the end of Act 4, Scene 2. And the plot thickens. Yes. And it looks like Brisac's gonna get his comeuppance in more ways than one. Miramont has turned into the fairy godfather, hasn't he? He has. He's sorting it all out for everybody. Thoughts from the room about that little scene? Anyone got anything to say? No, we're all
It's nice that they get to enjoy it.
Yeah. I did particularly like that opening speech from Andrew, where he's talking about the. It's almost like he's doing a recap of the scene before. If you were staging this, you'd maybe having peeping out, like looking at watching the two old guys tear chunks out of each other, and then he comes to report back. It's quite fun, that. Alan.
Yeah, well, in fact, he would have been there also for the bit where Brisac was taking the three youngsters apart.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think he's one of those servants who's going to be forever hovering just on the edge of vision.
Yes, seeing everything.
And only saying, I still find him slightly implausible in terms of the mix between his language and his vocabulary and the class that he's being portrayed as.
But he's been around Charles all the time.
Yes, and I mean, I wonder how much of that is to do with the plays that we've read before and the way servants have not always but usually been portrayed in these plays. I mean, later on after this, we get servants who are extremely clever. And so I'm thinking, like I said yesterday, I think we're maybe in a bit of an interesting bridge situation in terms of what's happening from a literary point of view between where it's been before. Not that we haven't had clever servants in the past, because we absolutely have, but I don't know. I'm finding Andrew quite a reasonable character in terms of reasonable as in he works. I feel as a character, but I mean, it's something you can pay attention to when you were in production. Alan again.
I'm just wondering, in fact, whether what we're getting is some echoes through from classical, where you're getting into almost the Plautus clever servant area. But as you say, I think what it is, we are in a bridging period, and because certainly I was not that aware of this sort of stuff, and the end of the first half of that century. So I got little comparison to do other than the stuff we've encountered.
Yeah, no, I mean, servants did go to uni with their masters. So yeah, I mean, Lois was saying this yesterday. There's no reason why he wouldn't. I mean, if he had a mind to do it, which I mean, not every servant would, but if he did, there's no reason. He'd certainly have plenty of opportunity to read. And then Lois, you had something to say, I think. Did you not? I think Lois may have frozen.
Well, I'm just thinking, I think we've only seen
we've lost you, Lois.
Well,
there you are.
Very breaky uppy.
No, we've lost you again. We need your words of wisdom. Come back to us, Lois.
Zoom is not our friend today.
No. There you are. Excellent. Say all that again, Lois.
And you can hear me?
Yes.
Oh yeah, right. We only saw Lilly very briefly in an earlier scene, and I think we really need a bit more of her. I mean, we saw her, with Brisac whispering to her. We didn't really know how she felt about him. Presumably this is all going to come up in the next scene, but I think in a way that's almost too underplayed. It's funny because the clever servant type really culminates in Figaro, and you know the Mozart opera probably, even if you don't know the Beaumarchais play, but that really is about exactly this situation. I mean, a master who whose servant has actually helped him a lot in the past, who is now planning to sleep with the guy's wife, and who's even offered them a special bedchamber, close to his, so that he can facilitate his intentions. So it's quite interesting to see these various tropes, that are going to turn up later.
Yeah, early examples.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. I think we do need a bit more Lily. I hope we're going to get a bit more Lily, and I hope we're going to get a bit more Sylvia as well, because she's only been in one scene so far, right at the beginning, and she struck me as quite an interesting character, and now she's disappeared. So let's hope that the women turn up in the last third of the play, but we are not going to find that out today. You'll have to come back to the next session to find out if that happens, because we are stopping there. And so I'd like to go to final thoughts about today's readings. What do people think? Does anyone want to go? Is anyone bursting to go first, or shall I just go around the room? All right then, I will start with you, Donald.
Okay, well, I mean, I think our expectations have been reasonably fulfilled from yesterday. I mean, we were expecting fun and games, and we got plenty of that. So I think the play has managed to maintain its momentum, and the more I'm looking at it, the more I see theatrical possibilities. It strikes me as a very stageable. And I'm enjoying it. I really. I wish I could be with you tomorrow, because I'm just going to have to read ahead and at least see how it goes. So,
yes. If you're not going to be here for tomorrow's reading, yes, you'll have to just read and see what happens. I am also very much looking forward to it. Alan, you probably are going to be here tomorrow, I imagine, if your computer holds out.
If the gods of the computers behave themselves, I hope to be.
Yes.
Obviously, I missed probably about half of today's material, so I've not really worked out what twists there were in the plot in the bit I missed. But it does seem to bounce along quite nicely. And I think it would work extremely well on its feet. And I think the costume designers would have quite a lot of fun with it. Because the three younger lads, you could almost go totally OTT in terms of costume for them. I think you mentioned yesterday, Sarah, flash art, and there's elements that you could nick for that, aren't there?
Indeed. Yes. In a way, I almost wanted a bit more of that, Maybe that's just me being greedy, but
Director's choice.
Yeah. I almost wanted a bit more of Eustace parading around and saying "damn it" a lot before. But you could have him swanning around in the background in production. Mark, you also missed the first couple of scenes, but then swung into action and saved all our bacons. What did you make of today?
I really enjoyed it, especially the wedding scene and the scene with the two dads afterwards. I feel like they were both really strong scenes, really kind of action-packed, drama-heavy scene. Like there's a lot to do with that. And we talked about how some of the scenes that we read earlier today and such, and really I think is the case with what we read in the first session as well, that like they had a lot of energy to them, but the plot was clearly just being like talked about, like this is gonna be relevant. But because they moved along well enough, I think they culminated in the wedding scene and the scene after it in something that I feel like was worth the buildup. So which is good, having this I don't know exactly how far into the play we are, but good to get at least that wedding scene in before intermission. So yeah, it feels like it does that. Donald was saying very stageable. I do feel like this could be really strong in a performance
Yeah.
so far.
Yeah. And the other thing I'm thinking with those little scenes, I mean, they were a lot slower because obviously the way we do this is kind of artificial. We were stopping and starting and talking about them, and they would all flow into each other. The other thing I'm thinking is, as we, or rather I, have been talking a lot today about psychology, is that these scenes where actually they're not really moving the plot on that much. Once you have a good grip of the story and the characters and who everybody is, because this is a play that you can layer psychology onto the characters because they are nicely three-dimensional. The scenes where actually not a lot is happening plot-wise, you can still add something to them by, these are the scenes that establish the character or the changes in the character. Both of the dads undergo quite a big dramatic arc, and we sort of see them moving from kindly father to sort of snarling narcissists. So there's room in those scenes as well to show the character nuances and also to bring out the character nuances of someone like Andrew. I think we were a little bit confused in a couple of places when we were just reading it cold, but I think once we get to the end of the play, there'd definitely be then you could then go back and sort of start to look at these characters and think about how you could use those scenes for character development as well as plot development. Lois, what are your final thoughts?
Yeah, well, I'm continuing to enjoy it like everybody else, and the fact that there certainly are character changes. I mean, it's sometimes they're extremely abrupt and they're based on the convention. I think that love transforms people, ideas like that. And although I can see a few places where one might cut, on the whole, I think this thing would work very well just as it is. And the sort of audience that would go to it would include an awful lot of intellectuals who would enjoy all the jokes about intellectuals, and then the fact that the intellectual turns out to get the girl. At least he seems to have got her. I mean, I look forward to tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, we had a totally unnecessary bit of anti-Semitism at one point that you'd want to cut, and I might be tempted to cut some of Charles's poetical, not his ode, but the stuff that comes after. But no, I agree. It's all been very it's just all been like beautifully relevant, hasn't it? Aliki, your final thoughts, please.
Yeah, I don't really have anything to add. I agree with what everyone said.
Lovely. Great. The room is in accord, pretty much. Doesn't always happen, but it does today. So that was the second session of The Elder Brother. And hopefully you'll be able to join us again for the third session, because I, for one, am really looking forward to seeing how this play works itself to the end. We do have the curse of the final session with plays. They, especially with comedies, they do sometimes go downhill a bit and disappoint us. But I don't know. I'm feeling optimistic about this. Let's see how I'm doing by the end of tomorrow. We shall find out. All that remains is for me to thank these wonderful readers for their readings and for talking to themselves on occasions and just getting through it. Well done, guys. It was a tour de force. Thank you very much for joining us, and goodbye. Have an eye to your plate, for there be furies.